Happy Hump Day, guys. It's Wednesday, March 28th, 2018. You're watching the Daily Mix TV by Hill Story Marketing. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO. So add this to the list of shit you just can't make up. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has declined to appear before Parliament in the UK, despite several calls for him to do so. In his stead, he is sending Facebook's Chief Product Officer Chris Cox, who will give evidence to the MPs in the first week after the Easter parliamentary break. Yesterday, however, Zuckerberg did state he will in fact testify before the U.S. Congress. So this is a very foolish move on Zuckerberg's part, considering how passionate the UK is about the breach caused by Cambridge Analytica and the ensuing inquiries the European Commission will undoubtedly do. It also hasn't fallen on deaf ears that Zuckerberg is elected to appear before Congress to testify, unlike how he's treating our friends across the pond by sending an emissary. Facebook stock took a massive beating yesterday, and now it appears that even Playboy magazine is disgusted by Facebook's behavior. They're all parting ways with the platform like many other companies and notables. On top of all of that, the FTC has also confirmed a probe into Facebook's privacy practices, and attorneys general in 37 states and territories have called for information about how the social media giant handles member data. Needless to say, it's a bad time to be at Facebook. In other news, I got to tell you guys, I'm incredibly disappointed by the showing in Chicago by Apple yesterday. Not only was the keynote only an hour, they only released a new iPad Standard Edition that's Apple Pencil enabled, as well as announcing new capabilities for the iWork software suite, amongst some very other minor product upgrades, and software only, not hardware. They also failed to live stream the event, stating on their website that a video will be available later. So not only did they drop the ball on this one for consumers, they simply put out an inferior showing, and something tells me they were all too well aware of it, given the incredible lack of real news from Apple yesterday. In all the years I've been an Apple fanboy, I have to say I've never been disappointed. Yesterday was a first, folks. For those who don't know, the day the music died is a reference to a plane crash in 1959 that took the lives of pop music singers Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Ritchie Valens. But many believe music had a second death, the minute the internet spawned services like Napster, Rhapsody, and more. Then came the demise of the CD, bringing music album sales into the basement. But it looks like we may be in for a resurrection. Ironically, right around Easter weekend. In the music business, they're banking on streaming services like Spotify, Pandora, and Apple Music. The number of paid music streaming subscriptions in the US grew by 56% last year to just over 35 million. That's up from 22, almost 23 million in 2016, according to the Recording Industry Association of America, or RIAA. Now, revenues from recorded music increased for the second year in a row. That's the first time that's happened since 1999. So it's nice to see things return to some sense of normalcy in the music business, but we still have a long way to go. I've started to see even more music licensing happening on digital platforms, which does my heart good, because that means that those independent artists that are actually, their work is being used, they're actually getting paid for it and they're getting the exposure. So it's really good to see that. I would just love to see the labels push out more album-driven content as opposed to track-driven content. So, it's a learning curve. It takes time to change. And certainly it has taken time for the music business to come back, but it's really refreshing to see some good news coming out of music these days. Carl's Jr. tweeted that it's changing the name of its charbroiled sliders to Spielburgers in tribute to Ready Player One director Steven Spielberg. It added, quote, "At Steven Spielberg hasn't signed off yet, but we're pretty sure he'll be down with it." Yeah, apparently the legendary director is not okay with it, or this is all just one big goddamn stunt. Spielberg made a selfie video to explain that the burgers are, quote, "pretty good, but I'm passing, cease and desist, you can't do it, sorry guys." The alleged feud, and I say alleged for a reason, is getting a ton of press. I mean, media mentions up the wazoo. But I gotta say, This has all of the makings of a PR stunt, and unfortunately, not a good one. Carl's Jr. has a licensing agreement on Ready Player One. So they're already doing business with Spielberg and the studio, right? So I have a feeling this was baked on the back end. And it's interesting to note that yesterday it came out that, unfortunately, March was one of the most dismal in history for the box office. And they're counting on Ready Player One to save it this month. So these kinds of tactics are, almost time-honored traditions in Hollywood. I mean, seriously, the amount of silly press stunts and little tactics like this to drive attention, it's been done a million times. So this definitely has all of those ingredients. Certainly interesting times in which we live, kids. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of Hill Story Marketing. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be Thursday.